Timing is everything, especially in the NFL. A player may have an exceptional rookie season, but that season will earn him no money on the open market if he disappears over the next 3. In the NFL, as is the case in most other professional team sports, the most important year of a player's career is the contract year. It is not atypical for a talented football player to experience multiple contract years in his pro career, but the biggest contract year is usually the one coming at the end of a rookie contract's 4th or 5th NFL season. These players are in their mid-20s, and many are considered to be in the physical prime of their respective careers. You will see those types of players littering the list below, but you will also see more than that. You will see plenty of players attempting comebacks, some of them on one-year, prove-it deals. This list will feature already rising stars, some of whom are setting the stage for a life-changing off-season in 2019. It will also feature some names that may be unfamiliar, for now, because you'll for sure know them after they ball out in a contract year and get paid. So, get to know these coming stars a little early. Scroll down to see who's eyeing up a slice of next year's salary cap pie heading into this season. Marcus Golden originally joined the Arizona Cardinals in 2015 as a second-round draft pick out of Missouri. He blossomed as a rotational edge rusher during the 2016 season, finishing with a team-high 12.5 sacks. Golden became a full-time starter in 2017 but was lost to a torn ACL in early October and did not record a single sack in 4 games before suffering the season-ending injury. The Cardinals are counting on Golden to come back strong from that devastating setback and tap into some of the pass-rushing potential he showcased during his breakout 2016 campaign. If he does, Arizona will likely re-sign him and make him a building block in the up-and-coming defense first-year head coach Steve Wilks is trying to develop. Grady Jarrett is a former 5th-round draft pick out of Clemson who has developed into quite a force in 3 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons. He worked his way into a full-time starting role by his second year and enjoyed a bit of a breakout year in 2017, finishing the season with 55 tackles and 4 sacks, both career highs. The Falcons fielded a surprisingly strong defense last season, and Jarrett's efforts were a big reason why they did. Jarrett won't have Don't Taripo, who spent the 2017 season with the Falcons, beside him this year, so he'll needs to prove that he can be a standalone star in 2018. If he keeps rising, expect the Falcons to lock him up to a long-term deal as one of the cornerstones of their franchise on defense. Wr. John Brown on his interest in joining the Ravens. Pic.twitter.com/AlphaLogo, Baltimore Ravens, @Ravens, March 16, 2018. The Baltimore Ravens decided to sign John Brown to a 1-year deal this offseason, just to see whether he can be a difference maker in their offense in 2018. He has been exactly that for the Arizona Cardinals in the past, as evidenced by the 1,000-yard season he had in 2015. After watching Brown finish with fewer than 300 receiving yards in 10 games played last season, however, the Ravens can't be certain of what they'll get from the 28-year-old wide receiver. Brown must rediscover the form he had in his early career, when he was making big plays for the Cardinals and establishing himself as a reliable pass catcher. The Ravens, who also brought in Michael Crabtree and Willie Snead this offseason, are trying to build a whole new wide receiver core for the future, and Brown has an opportunity to work his way into it. The Buffalo Bills have been in search of a new identity ever since Sean McDermott was hired as head coach before last season. Kelvin Benjamin came to the Bills, by way of trade, as part of that hunt. Benjamin only caught 16 passes in 6 games with the Bills, but there's reason to believe he can do so much more. That's why the Carolina Panthers spent a first-round draft pick on him back in 2014. Benjamin eclipsed 1,000 receiving yards as a rookie and also recorded a career-high 9 touchdown receptions. The 6'5", 245-pound receiver hasn't put up those types of numbers since, but he must do so for the Bills in 2018. Otherwise, they'll take interest in other receivers with more potential to be productive and let Benjamin walk in free agency next offseason. Kelvin, Benjamin's former teammate with the Carolina Panthers, Devin Funchess, is also feeling the pressure of a contract year. Funchess has been Carolina's #1 receiver since the departure of Benjamin and must now prepare for his first full season in that role. The fact that he is coming off a season in which he started all 16 games and set career-high watermarks for receptions, 63 yards, 840, and touchdown receptions, 8, bodes well for his chances in 2018. Just a few short seasons ago, the Panthers finished with the NFL's best record and appeared in the Super Bowl. As they look to re-establish that brand of dominance, Funchess is the exact type of player to which they should turn. He is only 23 years old and will have a beautiful future in Carolina, if he can turn 2018 into his breakout year. Adrian Amos has already proved himself to the Chicago Bears once. Although Amos started 30 of the 31 games in which he appeared over his first 2 seasons with the team, the Bears still weren't sold on him at the start of last season and made him a backup to veteran safety Quinton Demps. Amos rediscovered the starting lineup after Demps broke his arm in Week 3, and went on to have a tremendous season. While Bleacher Report named Amos the best free safety in the NFL in 2017, many outside of the Chicago area are not familiar with him. This is because he has not made many highlight reel plays, recording just 1 interception in his entire career. Amos can make a lot of money next offseason just by turning a few more heads in 2018. The Cincinnati Bengals still believe in Tyler Eifert, but not much more than to give him a 1-year, prove-it deal for 2018. Eifert, who has often dealt with injury, missed 15 games in 2014, 8 games in 2016 and 14 games in 2017. In 2015, however, he missed only 2 games, finished the year with 13 touchdowns and was voted to the Pro Bowl. The spark of hope generated by that one huge season is the only thing keeping Eifert in Cincinnati right now. He is coming off season-ending back surgery and may never be that type of playmaker again. By completing a full season and replicating elements of his breakout year in 2015, Eifert can make the Bengals very happy for taking one last chance on him. Hugh Jackson finally has a surefire starting QB. It really gives me a chance to show the team who the leader of the franchise is. It's gonna be Tyrod Taylor. They selected Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma with the first overall pick in this year's draft, so expect him to take over the starting job at some point. Until then, Taylor must do everything he can to prove himself as a capable starter. Even though Taylor did this for years with the Buffalo Bills, even helping them end a 2-decade playoff drought last season, he is approaching his 29th birthday and must now show he can do that into the future. Taylor is not in Cleveland's long-term plans, but he can work his way into those of some other team by compiling some decent film and maybe leading the Browns to a win or 2 in 2018. If last season was any indication of what's to come, another contract year could be a very good thing for DeMarcus Lawrence. Last season, Lawrence posted 14.5 sacks and competed for the league title while in a contract year. That earned him the franchise tag, which he can now use to set himself up for a long-term contract. Lawrence is likely to play on the tag in 2018 and cash in next offseason. The Dallas Cowboys are looking for quality pieces on defense, and Lawrence appears to be one of them. Although his NFL career got off to a slow start, his production increased rapidly in 2017. If he is able to produce on that level again in 2018, there's no way the Cowboys can leave him out of their long-term plans. When the Denver Broncos selected Shane Ray in the first round of the 2015 NFL Draft, they were hoping to get a pass rusher who could make a difference for them on defense. That hasn't really been the case, as Ray has struggled to establish himself as a full-time starter and was limited by a wrist injury all of last season. His path to the starting lineup is even less clear now that the Broncos have Bradley Chubb, who was the 5th overall pick in this year's draft. Ray still has plenty of pass rush potential, as evidenced by the 8 sacks he had while healthy and playing a largely rotational role with the Broncos in 2016. He will need to make the most of every snap, however, moving forward. If he can approach double-digit sacks in 2018, teams will be clamoring for his services next offseason. Ezekiel Ansah, 28, was selected 5th overall in the 2014 NFL Draft and progressed well for the Detroit Lions over his first few seasons, peaking with 14.5 sacks and a Pro Bowl bid in 2015. Injuries, however, limited him to just 2 sacks in 13 games played the following season. Last season, Ansah finished with 12 sacks, but 6 of those sacks came in the last 2 games of the year. The Lions are looking for a much more consistent version of Ansah in 2018. They want an edge defender who can draw constant double teams and still find ways to beat them. If he finishes the season with double-digit sacks and lifts Detroit to the playoffs, Ansah won't be leaving the Motor City next offseason. Not long ago, Demarius Randall and Quinton Rollins were the next big thing in the Green Bay Packers' defensive backfield. They came to the team by way of the first 2 rounds of the 2015 NFL Draft. Randall has been dealt to Cleveland since then, and now Rollins is on the verge of being squeezed out of a role. The Packers spent each of their top 2 picks on cornerbacks once again in 2018, selecting Jaire Alexander in the first round and Josh Jackson in the second. This comes 1 year after they selected Kevin King in the second round, their top pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. Rollins is only 25 years old but finds himself in a crowded cornerback room full of youthful talent. He will try to carve out a role after missing 10 games to an Achilles injury last season. A former 5-star recruit and first overall pick Jadeveon Clowney came into the NFL with huge expectations. It was a little slow going at first, with injuries hampering his early career, but over the past 2 seasons he has blossomed into the Pro Bowl player we all expected him to be. In 2017, Clowney enjoyed his best season to date, playing all 16 games and recording a career-high 9.5 sacks. Now entering a contract year at the age of 25, Clowney must help turn the Houston Texans into winners. Had they finished 12-4 instead of 4-12 last season, he and Houston might be a little closer to a long-term deal right now. Clowney can prove his essential worth to the Texans by lifting them over the hump and into the playoffs in 2018. The Indianapolis Colts are paying the price for years of poor protection, as no one knows whether Andrew Luck will ever be the quarterback he was before his lingering shoulder injury. Jack Mewhort has been one of India's most reliable blockers when healthy, but in 2018 the 26-year-old guard must prove that he is still up for the task. Mewhort missed 5 games due to injury in 2016 and 10 more in 2017. How can the Colts plan to keep their quarterback healthy when they can't even count on the man charged with his protection to be on the field? Avoiding injury and playing all 16 games will go a long way toward boosting Mewhort's value before he becomes a free agent next offseason. Dante Fowler suffered through a disastrous start to his NFL career, as the former third overall pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars missed his entire rookie season due to a torn ACL. Fowler has come back, however, and not missed a single game in either of the past 2 seasons. He has only started 1 game, though, and must command a larger role on defense before demanding a big payday. There's reason to believe Fowler will do exactly that in 2018. Although he is currently buried as a backup on an incredibly talented defensive roster, the up-and-coming defensive end had 8 sacks from a rotational role last year and has not yet reached his 24th birthday. There remains a bright future for Fowler, so long as he owns this contract year and makes it his breakout year. During the 2016 season, Dee Ford showed the Kansas City Chiefs why they selected him with a first-round draft pick by collecting a career-high 10 sacks. In his 3 other seasons with the team, however, he has only collected a total of 7.5 sacks. The Chiefs want to see more of 2016 Dee Ford this season and less of the guy they've gotten every other season. Ford is 27 years old and missed 10 games last season due to a troubling back injury. He has not finished a complete 16-game season since his rookie year, when he was a rotational pass rusher. Now that the Chiefs are counting on him as a full-time starter, Ford needs to come back in 2018 and prove that he can be both healthy and productive. Working on that chemistry man. Microscope at JaredJeff16. Right arrow at BrandonCooks.twitter.com/IkeDuol4B. Los Angeles Rams at Rams NFL. May 3, 2018. The Los Angeles Rams are giving Brandon Cooks a shot in a contract year, 1 year after they did the same with fellow wideout Sammy Watkins and watched him walk in free agency. Cooks, who was first traded to the New England Patriots from New Orleans Saints before being shipped off to the West Coast, can stick with the Rams by proving himself as an essential deep threat. Cooks has racked up over 1,000 receiving yards and at least 7 touchdown catches in each of the past 3 seasons. His last 2 quarterbacks, however, were Tom Brady and Drew Brees. If he can help make Jared Goff look like either one of those legendary passers, Cooks will almost certainly receive a long-term contract offer from the Rams. Denzel Perryman is one of many recent draft picks on this list facing a make-or-break year. The former second-round selection out of Miami has contributed heavily when healthy but has also dealt with more than his fair share of injuries. Last season marked his most disappointing professional campaign, as he spent the first 8 games on injured reserve ankle, and suffered a separate hamstring injury late in the year. Perryman is slated to start again in 2018, and the Chargers are counting on him to make a significant impact in their still-developing defense. If he can stay healthy and help this unit actualize its potential and rise to the next level, Los Angeles will be more willing to consider him as a long-term fixture in that defense. Like many other players on this list, Jawan James is pretty solid when he's healthy enough to take the field. We saw it in 2014, when he started all 16 games as a rookie, and again when he accomplished the same feat as a third-year player in 2016. In 2015 and 2017, however, James missed at least half of the season. A former first-round draft pick with an activated fifth-year option, James will receive a hefty payout during his 2018 contract year with the Dolphins. Everything after that remains undetermined. With quarterback Ryan Tannehill returning from a season loss to a devastating knee injury, anything James can do to make his comeback more successful will go a long way towards proving his value in Miami. Stefon Diggs is celebrated like one of the NFL's top receivers, but the Minnesota Vikings are still waiting for him to produce a 1,000-yard season. They are also waiting on him to complete a full 16-game season. Perhaps 2018 will be the year, since Diggs will be working with a new quarterback in Kirk Cousins and playing for a new contract. Diggs finished last season with 27 fewer receptions than fellow Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen and also trailed him by more than 400 receiving yards. If Diggs wants Minnesota to pay him like an elite pass catcher, then he must find a way to outproduce Thielen in 2018. Otherwise, the former fifth-round pick will have to find another team that is willing to fork over the cash. A feel for Trent Brown size as he arrives for interview. Biggest takeaway from the interview, he says he has comfort level on left side as well. Calls himself an excellent pass protector who gets after it in the run game. Pick.twitter.com/HSF4XNSZ, Mike Reese at MikeRice, May 3, 2018. The New England Patriots acquired Trenton Brown in a relatively quiet trade with the San Francisco 49ers on Day 2 of the 2018 NFL Draft. While the acquisition itself may have flown under the radar, Brown's potential impact should not. After all, this is a guy Von Miller called the best right tackle in the NFL before last season. Marcus Cannon is expected to reclaim New England's starting right tackle job, but the Patriots are looking for Tom Brady's next blindside protector after parting ways with Nate Solder last offseason. Veteran Ladrian Waddle is one candidate for the role, 2018 first-round draft pick Isaiah Wynn is another. If Brown manages to outshine them all this summer, the 25-year-old tackle is going to win that starting job and get paid. Everyone remembers Monty Te'o from his days as a standout linebacker with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but now he is in the NFL and trying to find a permanent home. After entering the league as a second-round draft pick and spending his first 2 seasons with the then San Diego Chargers, Te'o is now staring down the final season of a 2-year deal he signed with the New Orleans Saints about 12 months ago. Although he struggled to stay on the field in San Diego, Te'o appeared in all 16 games for the first time in his professional career as a member of the Saints in 2017. He needs to do that again in 2018, while also becoming more productive, in order to generate some real interest about his pending free agency next offseason. Odell Beckham Jr. has quickly become one of the most electric wide receivers in NFL history, but are the New York Giants willing to pay him like the league's no. One playmaker? There's a chance he gets paid before actually playing out his contract year, but at least the Giants have the option to watch him play again before backing up the Brinks truck. Beckham's accolades were insane through his first 3 seasons, eclipsing 1,300 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns each of those years, but last year was a disaster. He only appeared in 4 games, catching just 25 passes before suffering a season-ending ankle injury. The Giants are counting on Beckham to bounce back strong and earn the massive payday he is reportedly demanding. Quincy Enunwa is a former 6th-round draft pick who enjoyed a breakout with the New York Jets in 2016. He was poised to have an even bigger year in 2017, but a neck injury derailed that dream before it even had a chance to get off the ground. The RFA tender Enunwa signed will afford him another chance to turn some heads in a contract year. The Jets don't have a ton of talent on offense and are trying to bring along a rookie quarterback in Sam Darnold, who was selected third overall in the 2018 NFL Draft. The opportunity is there for Enunwa to be the star of this unit, or at least the most reliable playmaker in an otherwise dull offense. That kind of role could earn the young receiver some extra attention on the open market next offseason. After he was named NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2016, many expected Khalil Mack to be much further along in contract negotiations with the Oakland Raiders at this point in time. Perhaps the fact that he fell short of a first-team All-Pro bid in 2017, the first time this has happened since his rookie year, has caused the Raiders to reconsider his value. Although Mack's season sack total has declined each of the past 2 years, he is still one of only a few NFL players who has recorded double-digit sacks in each of the past 3 seasons. Opposing offensive coordinators focus a lot of their attention on stopping Mack, and that has a ripple effect on the Raiders' defense. If they don't realize or appreciate that before next offseason, it's going to be difficult for these two sides to come together on a new contract. The Philadelphia Eagles swung a trade for Ronald Darby in 2017, but his first season with his new team was halved by an ankle injury. This was a setback for Darby but also for the Eagles, who aren't quite sure what they have just yet in the 24-year-old cornerback. Assuming he stays healthy this season, Philly should get a well-rounded look at him in 2018. Although he missed half of last season, Darby started every game in which he appeared for the Eagles and finished the year with a career-high 3 interceptions. The former second-round draft pick now has a chance to take flight for the defending Super Bowl champions in 2018 and start building a market for himself in free agency. There's a decent chance the Pittsburgh Steelers end this ongoing saga and sign Le'Veon Bell to a long-term contract before the NFL's July 16 deadline. There is also a chance that Bell rejects their best offer and opts to play on the franchise tag for a second consecutive season, setting the stage for an earth-splitting opportunity on the open market next offseason. No one in the NFL handles a workload quite like Bell, who recorded a league-leading 321 rushing attempts and also caught 85 passes last season. If he continues to simultaneously produce like a top-tier running back, a decent no. 2 receiver, some team is bound to pay him the going rate for both of those services. On the surface, it doesn't look like Eli Harold does much for the San Francisco 49ers. He has only recorded 5 sacks in 48 games played since joining the team as a third-round draft pick in 2015, but his sack total doesn't tell the whole story. Harold is an outstanding run defender who is an expert at setting the edge, which rarely shows up in the stat book. In order for Harold to generate some buzz before becoming a free agent next offseason, he must find a way to get his name called more often. And the only way to do that is to make more impact plays, such as sacks and interceptions. If Harold can contribute in such a way for a 49ers team that is already on the rise, he'll have a lot of interested teams reaching out to him next spring. Here's a name from the past. Dion Jordan was the 3rd overall pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, but he fizzled out with the Miami Dolphins after multiple violations of the league's substance abuse policy led to a long-term ban. He spent the entire 2015 and 2016 seasons out of the NFL before returning to appear in 5 games with the Seattle Seahawks late last season. Jordan was pretty efficient in limited action, recording a sack in 4 of those 5 games. With his strong finish, the 28-year-old defensive end may have played his way into a bigger role in 2018. If he can stay out of trouble and keep up this level of production, Jordan will successfully resurrect his NFL career. Ali Marpet was drafted to play center but had to play out 2 seasons at right guard before getting a shot to play his natural position with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the first time in 2017. The Bucs gave him all of 1 season to get settled in that role before signing free agent center Ryan Jensen and announcing that Marpet would be moving back to guard in 2018. Marpet is now moving to the left side, after gaining some experience on the right side earlier in his career. Without a permanent home along Tampa Bay's offensive line, the former second-round draft pick finds himself in a vulnerable spot heading into a contract year in 2018. Marpet must find a way to make his versatility play to his advantage before hitting the open market. The Tennessee Titans have nothing to worry about when it comes to Taylor Lewan, except the massive price tag that comes with retaining him beyond the 2018 season. Lewan has made the Pro Bowl each of the past 2 seasons and has established himself as one of the best young left tackles this league has to offer. Lewan will likely dominate again in 2018 and command a ton of interest from potential suitors, if the Titans allow him to reach free agency. With all eyes trained toward this former first-round draft pick, there's plenty of pressure on Lewan to ball out, prove he's worth a significant percentage of some team's salary cap. The Washington Redskins have something brewing in Preston Smith, who has appeared in 48 straight games since joining the Washington Redskins as a second-round pick in the 2015 NFL Draft. He has recorded 20.5 sacks during that span, as well as 4 forced fumbles and 3 interceptions, quietly contributing for a team that has struggled to rise above mediocrity. Redskins, however, are a different team this year. They already brought in one big-name Smith, Alex, to be a star on offense. They could see another Smith, Preston, develop into a legitimate star on defense. That type of potential will make this contract year a particularly intriguing one to monitor in 2018.